Hey, friends! I'm Jesse Fisco.
And I'm Ambry Fisco.
As founders of several successful businesses, we've experienced absolute joy and satisfaction working together to build our empire.
Our journey started off as a small business idea and has launched into a multi-million-dollar portfolio. It would have never been possible had Jesse and I not understood the key principles of making it all work together. But it has not been easy.
We found ourselves in the trenches trying to balance real life with business life while maintaining our strong commitment to creating an amazing marriage.
And we've emerged in a beautiful way together. This podcast was created to help you do what we've done, build an amazing marriage together while maintaining balance between life and business.
So here we are. You're listening to the Matrimonial Merger, a couple's guide to balancing life and business.
Let's get started.
Welcome to the Matrimonial Merger. Jesse and Ambry here, and you guys, I am so excited. I honestly am like, Ambry, just ready to freaking go for it. And it's because the holiday seasons are coming up, and this is one of those things that a lot of times we see depression and we see a lot of sadness.
Hard feelings, family drama.
Lots of crazy.
And as you know, we like the no more family drama.
No family
whole
drama.
Thing.
Ever.
That was like one of our first episodes.
Right. Don't have family drama.
And I think if you like, I don't know, if you're like us, maybe now is the time that you're starting to plan, you know, holiday events and things with family and friends and whatever. And it's so much fun and there's so much opportunity. And I know like we've talked to several friends about this very topic recently. Like, you know, how do you manage all the like things going on? How do you decide whose event to go to? Like, what do you do? Like, why, anyways. So we're diving into this today and we're both like way excited.
It gets overwhelming because I remember like not even a week ago, we had something every single night.
Oh yeah.
And we were like, so when do we record this podcast?
Yeah.
and
it's so much fun. Like, especially and as long as the things you are doing, you want to do, and you're doing them for the right reasons. Like, it's so fun and it's so fulfilling. Sure, like that week was a bit exhausting and we were like, oh my gosh, like, but it's so fun. Having something to look forward to, having memories made, like all very important and fulfilling things. However, there can be some issues / drama involved if you allow it. And if certain needs aren't met. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And Jesse, I can tell you want to say something.
Yeah, honestly, we're just excited because, the holidays, we've always had awesome holidays and you guys are going to have awesome holidays as well. And coming in with this episode, I think that this will help you guys as you're planning in the holidays, but more importantly in your business and your family and just you as an individual and understanding the things that we talk about today. This is how it should be. Yeah. And if you have an idea that, oh man, that's too good to be true, or oh man, that's hard for me to understand. Mm-hmm. There's some limiting beliefs there, but this is how it should be done.
You can have it all. You deserve to have the experience that you ultimately want. And this is going to be good. So I think initially, like, let's talk about, because I mean, I feel like we've talked with a lot of people about over the years about dynamics with holidays and just a lot going on, and specifically like with in-laws, family, like there's a lot, or you might even have 2 or 3 step parents to visit, like whatever, depending on your dynamic. Like it could, or I mean for us, like for the last 10 years of our marriage, like my family's always been in a different state, and so we were able to either be with one or the other, and we were in a different state, so we didn't have to necessarily juggle those things. But anyways, so now, like, just talking with other people and having some of the experiences we have, we want to talk about what that can look like. And I think there's been a lot of situations that we've experienced where people are frustrated and upset, and like, whether it's, I didn't get to spend time with someone that I wanted to, or I spent too much time here and not enough time there, or literally my entire holiday was like running back and forth from different places, and I didn't even enjoy that.
Right.
Or I didn't have anything to do. It was completely like dead and lonely and unfulfilled. So there's a lot of different like angles you could take, but if you're not in charge and in control of the situation, that's the problem, and that's what it can look like.
Yeah, and I think the big problem is that a lot of people, when it comes to the holidays, they are, very much trying to please the masses and please everyone. Mm-hmm. You've got the family, you've got the the step parents, like you said. I mean, we have, on just my side alone, we have quite a few families to go visit, and grandparents and other stuff like that. And so, anyways, I think that realistically, like what it comes down to is a lot of people are trying to go out there and help the external environment and please the masses.
Yeah.
When realistically, and it makes all the sense of the world, you want to make everyone happy and fulfill these things. But at the end of the day, you've got to stay aligned with what you truly want. And you've got to understand that there will be some people that go, man, you've changed. Or, I wish you could make it. But you can't make everyone happy.
Yeah.
Well, let me rephrase it this way. Because you can make everyone happy, right? If you want to. That's your choice. But in order for you to go where you truly want to go, there will be people with different models of the world that may or may not agree with the decisions you're making. However, they'll respect you, assuming that you are very upfront and straight with them about what you're trying to achieve.
Yeah.
Right? It's when you start to justify and make these little white lies and things, that's when people start to get upset.
Yeah.
But if you
or not being aligned with yourself, because I think people can feel that energy too.
Totally.
Like, I don't know if we come off near as sincere when we're not aligned with ourselves. So like two main things that we want to address today are, one, like how do you get what you want out of these situations, right?
Yes.
And designing that and how you can go about that. But second, and very important, is making sure that you are taking full accountability for yourself and what you want and your responses and your emotional state, and having no guilt or responsibility for that of others.
Right.
And it's not to say like be insensitive or be rude or whatever. That's not what I'm saying, but we'll get into that more. But it's just, you can't worry about what everyone else is going to think or say or do. You can't, if you're,
if you're worried about pleasing the external environment, you will lose your identity. And if you're so focused on helping other people and what other people think of you, and you lose your identity, you lose your purpose. And as you lose your purpose, you start to dwindle and you start to feel depression. And that depression can take you down even more.
I think
that's a big thing to think about with these holidays is it comes down to, all right, listen, I remember this specifically when we were first married. Like, money was tight for us. We didn't have a lot of opportunity to go buy a $20 gift for everyone in the family. And it soon became a obligation, and the energy exchange there was not a positive one. It was, I don't want to go buy this. And then you started to look at it and go, well, I spend $20 and then I get a $3 pair of socks, and you start to like challenge and go, man, like it wasn't intentional or sincere. It wasn't intentional or sincere. It was just like, it felt like an obligation. It wasn't until you and I said, nope, we can't do this anymore. Financially, this doesn't make sense. This is the new way of doing things. And there was a little bit of pushback, especially from the younger family members that, they don't know any better. But there was a little bit of pushback. But after we got through it, we walked away feeling so much better about the holidays, because we weren't spending $600 at the time. That seemed like a ton of money. We weren't spending $600 on Christmas for other people. Right. Meanwhile, feeling like we were getting like $3 socks.
Well, and I think like sidetrack here is like family dynamics change constantly.
Yes.
And that's okay, right? But like we have to be willing to shift with those dynamics. Like what worked 10 years ago or 5 years ago or even 2 years ago, like we have to be willing to look at it differently and change that. And, as long as we are open-minded and we can, present things in a good way, I think it can be a positive outcome for everyone. But I think that emotions get high this time of year, and people, but going back to like the two problems, I think that like the being in control of the first one really fixes the second. So like being able to know what you want and what, like, designing the experiences you want for the holidays or for anything. Really makes it easier to not necessarily worry or be as affected by outside feelings and circumstances that you really can't control and that you don't need to be responsible for.
Also being able to like show that you're in control. Like one of the, I'm going to tread lightly here, but one of the biggest problems I have is when someone books an appointment with you and then you are ready for the appointment because you're in control of your schedule, and then you send them a text 30 minutes before, maybe you're already traveling, and you call them and they go, oh, I forgot, or oh, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
And it's because they're not even in control of their own schedule. And that's one of the biggest problems I have is like when you make a commitment, like I expect you to be in the know of your own schedule. And it frustrates the heck out of me when people are not in the, like, they don't know what's going on.
At least when like there wasn't a reason, you know, that like, things happen, life happens. Sure. But if there's not like a, yeah.
And I've been working like really, really hard to make sure that like I understand my schedule to a T. And obviously there are things that pop up or, oh man, like you look down at the clock and you're 15 minutes like already behind schedule just because of normal day-to-day work. But I mean, what I mean by that is, you have these people that, oh yeah, we should do this. And so like, if you're on your game, you start working towards that, right? Like I want this. But then when you go to follow up with that person and they're non-reliable or they don't bring the food item to the family event or to whatever, like when that happens, that gets very frustrating and that also causes issues, right? And so like going back to what you said, if you know exactly what you want and you can plan it out, that might alleviate some of these other issues too, because you know what you want, you know what's expected, and you're communicating that effectively. You may actually experience a drama-free family event.
And you're not putting other people in charge of your happiness.
Right.
And even if you're the one hosting something, right, and maybe someone does let you down or someone doesn't, do what they said or intended, like, you still have to be in control of your emotional state and your response to that situation, right? Sure. And it can still be a positive, wonderful experience and environment if you allow it to, right? So
I think one of the things we talked about, here's just an example, is instead of like asking everyone to bring a food item, right? Instead of doing that, just saying, all right, everyone send us this money. And that way you're in control and you can just say, perfect, I have it.
Yeah,
right?
Depending on your style and how you like to do things, like that could be a good option.
Right. And we're not saying that is the option and the only way, right? Because
just
there may
an idea. If you're like, I want to make sure that no one can like can bail on me at last minute. Like have everyone Venmo you $20 or whatever a month before the event, and then like you do everything if you want, if that's like fits your model of the world.
And if that doesn't work, maybe you need to make an adjustment. Maybe you can't make all the pies and do the family dinner and do the Christmas caroling, or
you need to go buy some stuff pre-made.
Yeah, maybe you've got to delegate and do some pre-made stuff, or maybe it's time to level up and hire a chef and have everyone.
I like that idea.
Yeah, me too. But like doing something
I do love though a lot of traditions around making food for holidays and that like there can be so much joy there. But once again, it goes back to what do you want? What is your what do you envision? Like with events and holidays and all these things coming up, like you need to know what it is that you and your family want out of it first. That's the most important thing. So like talk about what it's going to look like. Talk about what experience you want. Is it about seeing the most people? Is it about, less is more? Is it about like literally write down like who you want to spend time with, in November, in December, the week of Christmas, the week before Christmas, like who do you want to create memories with? First, identify that list. And once that list is identified, then, go a little deeper and actually plan the events and plan who's going to come to what, or, what you're going to do. But if you are, like, if you're not aligned with what it is you want and intentional about each of those events, the environment's not going to be ideal for you. It's not going to be what you wanted it to be. Mm-hmm. And you'll probably like walk away feeling like a little empty or frustrated, or like, oh, that just didn't go the way I thought it was going to. But like, you're in control now. So start creating those experiences now and designing them so that when the time comes, like you'll look back on your, I don't know, Christmas Day or whatever it is and go, wow, that was so fulfilling and or relaxing or whatever experience you wanted to have. Mm-hmm. It was there because beforehand you wrote it down and you talked about like, this is what I want. This is the people I want to be with. This is the time I want to spend. And maybe there's people you want to see or spend time with that maybe like it doesn't make the most sense on Christmas Day or on Christmas Eve, but you want to do something memorable. So you plan some time outside of that, or, do something different, or even just go out to dinner with a group of friends or family, however that makes sense for you. But start thinking about and designing that so it doesn't just turn into like stress and chaos and, and then you start worrying about everyone else's experience and circumstance. And like, you can't do that. Like you can invite, you can create, but it's not your job to worry about what other people choose to do and decide to do with their time and energy.
Yeah. You know what I love about that too is it eliminates the, we should probably do that too. Mm-hmm. We should probably, because you're so focused on the schedule that you're allowing these other creeping thoughts to come in. You're like, you know what? That doesn't fit this time. That's okay.
Yeah.
Right. And imagine like, I remember like, I'm gonna tease our situation a little bit. Like I remember going to, and this happens from time to time still, but because we're counting macros, it's ironic because we count macros for our health that we don't experience this as much. But every time we go through a drive-through, like we would go.
Yeah, I don't even remember the last time we had a drive-through.
I know, but like we would go and it would take a little bit of time to order, like because.
Are you pointing fun at me?
No one's pointing. But it was the.
I have a really hard time ordering in drive-thrus. I don't like it.
It's because you don't know what you want, right?
Yes, and but I also want to sit down and like look at a menu and like I want to see all the wonderful options that I have to experience and decide which one it is that is the most desirable to me. And in a drive-thru, it just stresses me out. Okay, but really?
So you're getting the analogy where I'm coming
I am getting the analogy, but first of all, in general, there are exceptions to this, but in general, the food available in a drive-thru is crap and it sucks and I don't like it anyways. And that's why I sit there and I'm like, okay, like I actually don't want anything on this menu, but so there you go. Now you can continue with your analogy now that I got that.
You should create a podcast called Action Alimentos, which is like action foods, or like, I think alimento in Spanish is like food or like nourishment. Know. So I don't know. It
but
just has
I will do that if that.
On the next episode, though, like what food you put in your body by Ambry Pisco.
Here's the thing though, like my model of the world, I like to feel good. I treat myself very well. I I will have things that are enjoyable and I enjoy food. I love food.
Yes.
But I enjoy good food. Like,
why?
Because I feel good and because it tastes good and because like
you deserve it.
Because I deserve it.
Feeling.
So yeah. So you said most drive-thrus that are out there and I'm looking at the menu and I'm like, okay, for me, I don't enjoy 90% of what is on that menu. It's not like really what I would want to eat. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, what do I want out of all this stuff I don't want?
Yes. And I think so. Like,
how can I make this look better?
So moving back,
anyways, and back to your analogy.
Well, and this is what was cool. Is like there was no finger pointing because we've been counting our macros. Like it's been easy and effortless because we know exactly where we're going. We're aligned, so it's easy at the drive-thru, right?
Yeah.
Whereas before, like you said, it was just kind of like, nah, none of this stuff's what I want. But you didn't really know what you wanted because you were part of you wanted to have the health and the feel good, and then the other part of you's like, man, this double cheeseburger from Crown Burger looks dominating, right?
But I hate the way I'll feel after.
But like the analogy I'm painting here is you guys feel that pressure. All of a sudden, if you don't know your goals, you don't know what you want, you're stuck there at the drive-thru.
There's 10 cars behind you.
10 cars behind you.
The lady behind you with 5 kids in her car is honking her horn because she's like, why are you taking so long?
And then, and you're like, stop saying, and then.
Or the person in front of you keeps getting handed bag after bag, and you're like, what did you get? How many people are you feeding? This isn't a catering menu.
Exactly.
Okay, anyways.
We all have that lady that's like.
I love drive-thru.
And I worked at a drive-thru. I worked at Taco Bell, so you had the lip smackers too.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't know. I think a soda.
Like ordering?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you're like, okay, I got to mute this crap because, like,
that's so funny.
This dude or lady is literally just like salivating and they don't even know what they want. So, anyway, back at it. You guys, when you're not planned, use that analogy. Yeah. Like, because someone goes, hey.
Don't get stuck in the drive-thru without a plan of what you want to eat. It sucks.
Hey, come to this event. Okay, yeah, I'm going to go to that event. And then you start looking at that event and go, actually, that's not what I want, but why did I commit to this event? And like in some cases...
There's something else at the same time or whatever that I actually would really want to be at and would make me feel fulfilled and happy. Right. And
that's the thing is like going back down to planning, what do you want? And I mean, I think of it in anything, in your business. What do you want in your business? Like write it down. Who's your ideal client? Write it down because not everyone's going to be there. But the minute you start to separate yourself and say, I'm going to go after the things I want, a couple things happen. Number one, your body's going to feel very uncomfortable because it's new, especially if you haven't been doing this. So you're going to have to go through some of these like emotional, dwellings that happen in the brain. It's okay, get through it. Number two, you're going to start noticing that new people are coming into your life that are more in tune with what you want, and you're going to be really, really excited, right? Like we talked about this. Someone today texted me and said, hey, let's do lunch. And I was just like, holy crap. Like, I don't, but it all started because of a compliment given. Yeah. But the fact is it's like, I actually really do want to do lunch with someone that's new that has a similar perspective. I caught something he said and I just messaged him and said, hey, I actually read that book too. And that was very insightful. And I think that, you're very inspiring to go and talk about that. And all of a sudden he wanted to do lunch with me. And I was like, man, like, whoo. Go. This is awesome. But you'll notice these little subtle changes as you start to go after the things you want. And then you even mentioned today, you're like, man, Jesse, like, isn't it interesting you're getting exactly what you wanted? Yeah. Like a month ago, you said you wanted this result of just networking and less time doing sales.
Go to lunch every day.
Yeah. Like, isn't it interesting?
Or whatever.
You wanted to go golf and go to lunch and just meet new people consistently. And all of a sudden
it just happens naturally because that's what you're working towards, what you want.
Right.
And I think it's important to know in the context that we're speaking here that you have to take accountability for your needs and communicate them. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes it might be just voicing what you need. Like, don't be afraid to like say, hey, this is actually what I need. And it's okay if that doesn't work for you. This is what I'm going to do.
Right.
Like we're still going to have a great experience. Maybe we can't be 100% in on this event or be there the whole time, but like, here's what we can do and be happy with those efforts. And if that's what you want and you're getting the experience you want, then that's great. But you have to be willing to like voice those needs and opinions when needed because other people may not just magically know them. And if they don't, and you're just feeling disappointed or let down because you didn't, tell someone something that you need or something you didn't want or whatever, right? So get involved with planning. Like if that's your thing, like get involved and share ideas and, maybe be the host and put it together. Do the thing, like, and don't wait around. Also, like there's this balance, I think, because there's like one end where like you're not doing anything and you're just kind of waiting around for everyone else to plan, everyone else to invite you, whatever. Well, depending on what you want, you could end up disappointed. Or there's another spectrum where it's like you're planning so many things and everyone else around you are planning all these things and you're trying to be involved with every single one of them and help plan every single one and bring food to every single one. And, all these things, like that could, for some, be overwhelming or stressful. And it's like, do you want to feel that way?
Yeah.
After, these opportunities and experiences that you should leave feeling happy and fulfilled and, joyous.
I'm going to add too, it may not be stressful for you as an individual, but then your spouse may actually be stressed out too. There's been times where I've like, Ambry, let's do this.
Yeah.
And then
it's up to them to communicate that to you. But if they have, and
I guess where I'm going is it's even more impactful if it's you and your spouse doing this together.
Yeah.
Especially with things that come to family. And I think we could both agree, but I agree.
That is so and if you do have, commitments with different family and friends that you need to get on the same page
Totally.
and respect the things that respect and learn to appreciate the things and experiences your spouse wants, because it might be a little different than you.
Totally.
There might be that event that you're like, this is totally not 100% my thing, but I love my spouse and I enjoy seeing them be happy, making them happy. So we do it, right? It's not, there are some things we may do for a higher purpose because a relationship with a spouse is crucial. And it's such a, that's a whole nother topic, But
I also think too, you'll find your spouse, we've experienced this, you'll find your spouse or your significant other more prone, if they feel understood, they will be more prone to try the things that they haven't tried before and put themselves out there. It's not a problem because they feel understood.
Yeah.
And it's like an alignment. Once again, like becoming very much aligned as a relationship as well.
So you have to communicate and know what you and the other person want and need for that to happen.
And it all starts back down with that plan, right? You guys cannot build a house without a plan, because that room that you may want that's open concept that you could fit 300 people in may not have it may not have the structural engineering done on it.
Dang it.
Without the plan, and it could cave in, right? And
in the middle of your party.
For as a house person, like I grew up building houses, and like that's something to consider.
Yeah.
And I heard someone today say that the Florida apartment complex that crushed, I think it was about a year ago.
Or something. I never even heard about that, but
it literally
apparently a building just like collapsed.
What it was is there was a planter box that had water that was leaking, and it got into the concrete of the building, ate away the rebar, and rusted, jeopardized the rebar. The rebar is no longer, like the concrete doesn't have something there to keep it strong, so it just falls, right? And I guess where I'm going with this is it's the same thing with your plans. If you're just allowing things to kind of go and not be maintained and make plans and stand up for yourself, right? Even the strongest will fall. Even the strongest buildings with all the engineering report. And so it takes that maintenance consistently of communicating with one another, also knowing exactly what you want.
Yeah.
And filling the holes in the areas where you feel you're lacking. And it's consistent.
And don't for things that you want, be willing to, if you want to be flexible or make certain sacrifices, that's great. However, don't feel the need to overextend your needs and your sacrifices just to please other people. And I guess where I'm going with this, and the problem is, I think is a lot of times we assume a lot. Like you assume maybe what another person would want or what they wouldn't want based on your model of the world, when what they actually want could be something totally different. So someone shows some kind of feedback or pushback about a party. So then you're let's just say in your mind, you're going, oh, that must not work for them, or oh, their feelings are hurt, or oh, let's change the whole party, everything we're doing, the time, the date, the theme, all the things, so that person will want to come.
Yeah.
Well, there could be a billion consequences, outside of that for, yourself and other people that were going to come. But what if that person still doesn't want to come? What if you're trying to do all these things to please these people, and you don't even know if
what if that person just doesn't even like you and they can't even tell you that, right? And they're over there just like, oh, sorry, I can't come because they're trying to be nice.
Or this person just doesn't know how to express the way they feel. You're not asking the right questions, but are you asking questions? If you need to understand where they're at, like ask the questions. If not, accept their response and respect it and, say it's okay if, we see differently on this, or it's okay if it doesn't work for every single person. But here's the thing, if someone wants to be there and it's an experience that they value, they will be there.
Right.
It still, maybe they're out of town. It doesn't work. I get that. And that's okay. Like sometimes you can't do everything, but if they want to, and it's important to them, they will be there. And isn't that what you would want? Like, do you want to drag people and change your event and change all these details to drag people in? What if if it's not important to them or they're uncomfortable? You have to let them work through those things and be considerate, be kind, ask questions if you want to, or maybe there's something else you need to do with those people, or maybe it's a smaller event. Maybe it's not the big event or whatever. Right. I know that these are a lot of
would you rather though
variable details
be in a room of 5 people that truly want to be there, or 150 people that are just there?
Right. Even maybe those 5 people, for some, maybe it just worked out perfectly, but for others, maybe they had to adjust plans or make sacrifices, or, but this is what they wanted. They're getting the experience they wanted. They're with the people they want. And I think that's what's most important.
I do
and
too.
Really, along with that, just don't be accountable for the way you feel and your responses. And it's not other people's job to create these memories for you. It's your job to create them and to find the memories in whatever situation you're in.
Yes.
But
you are
other people's
control.
Emotions are not yours. They're not, you're not responsible. Sure, you can feel bad that if someone left a situation feeling frustrated or upset or sad or whatever, you can have compassion for them and you can go talk to them and you can try to understand, but don't take it as your fault or or that you did something wrong. We are also complicated and different in the way that we view the world, and it's not your job to please everyone. It's they're in charge of their happiness and their state. If they are going to choose to be happy, they're going to choose to be happy no matter what what your party was or what day or time or whatever. They're going to choose that. And if they're going to choose to be frustrated or upset or offended, that's also their choice. And you can't control that.
I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent here.
You wouldn't want to control that.
And I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent because I think of the concept of McDonald's. I know that we talked about food, but McDonald's has made it so easy for themselves to collect massive amounts of money. And the reason why is because they know what they want. They want you to do what? Supersize the menu, right? They want you to upgrade. Mm-hmm. And they want to capitalize that extra 60 cents, that extra $1. They're not out there trying to sell you 10 more cheeseburgers. They're going for the small play and getting everyone to upgrade. So when you go to McDonald's and you order a combo meal, they look at you and they say, do you want to supersize that? And they literally hand you an option.
Yeah.
And the thing is...
And it's pretty cheap compared to what you're already spending on your meal. So
right. And they make millions, if not billions of dollars on that simple concept. And the reason why is because they are giving you an option to say yes or no in that moment. They're giving you the freedom, but they are in control of the situation because most people will say, yeah, actually, let's do that. 60 cents more.
It's simple. I love that you said that because I think that a lot of times too, when planning things, we overcomplicate and ask for too many details and opinions. I am not a fan of McDonald's at all, but if we're talking about that situation, it's okay if you are. I respect that. But if that person on the other end was great, you ordered a number 7. Would you like to get a medium fry and then a large drink and then a small and a half burger? Whatever.
You'd say, heck no, just give me what I ordered.
No, I'm good.
Right.
Or you'd be so confused. You'd be what?
Well, they'd be even confused of what they asked you.
Yeah.
Right.
It wouldn't make any sense. Yeah. But when it's here's what I have. You can like, here's what I have to offer. Here's the plan. Yes or no. It's like, no, or yeah, sure.
Right.
But like McDonald's isn't responsible or in charge of like why you said yes or no, or if you say yes or no. Like they offer, and if you say yes, it's your responsibility that you ate that extra like 1,000 calories or whatever it is.
It was your choice, but guess what? You gave into their plan. And their plan was, we're going to provide a simple yes or no option for them to upgrade and let them choose themselves.
Yeah.
But realistically, McDonald's is in control there because they're winning, because people are upgrading consistently.
Yeah.
They've dangled the hook. And I want you, like...
And it's okay if you say no, because they're like, whatever, we offered, you said no, we're not going to like change our super size because you said no. We're not going to be like, okay, but actually...
I'm going to challenge you here real quick, though.
I like being challenged sometimes.
This one is an interesting concept, and this just came to me. So, like, if it sounds crazy, just tell me no, shut up, and, like, we'll move on, right? But, you know when you go and you order, or you're paying for something at Walmart or some of these other stores, and they go, would you like to donate $1 to this foundation?
Yeah.
Do you feel guilty when you say no?
Sometimes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
sometimes I do.
I'm just going to suggest that the fact that you feel guilty, is it because you don't know if that's the right or wrong thing and you haven't really thought? So then all of a sudden someone goes, hey, you want to supersize? And you go like, no. And then you feel guilty for not supersizing. Is it because you are not in line with yourself and that's why you feel that guilt? Yeah. Interesting.
Or
I don't know.
Or like I think sometimes it also could be like, in that situation, that specific situation, like the other person on the other side of the counter, like they're physically looking at you, asking you to give them $1, or sometimes it's like 50 cents if they're just asking you to like round up or whatever,
right?
Or $3 or whatever it is. It's never like a ton of money, right? But so I think that's another thing is it's like I just said no to $1, like
okay,
but they're staring at you and you're thinking like, oh, if I say no, like, are they going to think I'm a horrible person? Probably not, because they have to ask you that question, right? But I do think that, like...
What about the tip button at the restaurant? They've served your food. They haven't really served you anything. They just put it on there, and then they ask for a tip. And they're standing there.
You're talking about, like, the places where you go, and, like, you don't sit down. Like, let's say...
Crumble Cookie does it all the time.
Crumble Cookie. You go, like, you order the cookies, you pay for the cookies, they hand you the cookies... And I mean, it's like, it's very up for interpretation of what you're paying for when you pay a tip, right? Are you paying for like just the person that served you the food and or wiped up the table? Are you paying, you know, like what are you?
But have you ever had that conversation with yourself to say, do I pay tips in this situation? Yes
Absolutely.
Or no? And make that decision. Like I remember in school that you'd have the DARE program, right? The drug resistance, group that would come in and say, I want all of you to put your hand on your heart and say, no, I will not do drugs. Right. And you made a commitment right there. But at that very moment, we didn't even know what we were doing. We just made an unconscious decision or a conscious decision, but installed in our unconscious mind that we will not do drugs and we will say no in that environment. We created a stance versus like, have you guys created a stance in your life of who you're going to serve in your business? What parties, what things are you going to participate in? Yeah. Or are you feeling a sense of guilt when you tell someone no because you don't know what stance you have?
And I think too, like it, like as these opportunities approach, especially over the next couple months, like I would say if you like create your design, right? Write down what you want to do, the activities you want to do, the people you want to spend time with, and design around that, right? Like we said. But I would say also like there will be things that will come up that you know, didn't know or it's last minute. And some of them you'll want to do and others you won't. And that's okay. But if you find yourself in a situation where you are saying no or expressing like, oh, that doesn't work for us or whatever.
Or feeling guilty for not showing up.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you find yourself saying, no, you can't go, what feeling comes over you when you do that, right? Like if you start to feel any kind of negative emotion, I would say get very curious about why.
Yes.
Why are you feeling that way? Because what is the purpose of that feeling? Who are you serving? Why, you know, if you're saying no, it's for a good reason. Either you can't go, you don't want to go, or whatever, right? It's valid and it fits your model of the world. Like you should have conviction behind that decision, right? Like when you tell someone like yes or no, you could say for either saying yes or no to something, either one, if you feel any kind of like guilt or frustration or anything, like if you're saying yes, but you really don't want it, or you're saying no, but you feel bad, start to become very curious about that emotion.
Yep.
Why it's there and how you can change the emotion around it, because whatever that decision is that you're making should be out of conviction and desire and what you want, and create joy for you.
And I promise you that most of the time, what you'll find is that emotion or that feeling that I have to justify. So after I told you no, now I have to justify, may actually come down to when you were a kid being disciplined by your parents. What did you do? Why did you do that?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they start, like, you have to start justifying your actions.
And I think that's such a like cultural thing too. I feel like it's so natural for everything we do to be like, if you, whether you say yes or no, it's like we feel this need to like elaborate or explain why, even though like it, I mean, in some cases, sure, that's great. It's fine. Like details, whatever.
Imagine
but like you don't, what emotion is tied to it? Because if it's anything negative, get curious about it.
Yeah. And I was going to say, imagine like asking your kid, like, did you smack your brother? Did you smack your sister? Yes. Okay, cool. Here's your punishment, right? Instead of going, why did you do that? And allowing the opportunity for them to justify, because think about it. I mean, we could be so simple. Like in other cultures.
Sure, I mean, if you hate your brother, it shouldn't really matter why. It was
right. And that's the thing.
It was not probably a good thing.
The situation doesn't matter. But like, here's an example. Spanish culture. I speak Spanish, and Spanish culture is very, very yes or no. Sí or no, right? Like that's it. And so, do you want more food? No. Okay, great. You want more food? Yes. Okay, great. Right? And that's a cultural thing. Whereas our culture here in the United States has been kind of designed to say, do you want this? No.
There's so much guilt attached to everything.
And the thing is, all the sales training, everything too.
Yeah.
Oh, well, why don't you want this? And like they challenge you. And then but that's what the salespeople do too, is they start to challenge you. And they don't respect the word no. Mm-hmm. And so it's almost like you need a justification. Oh, well, I don't have money. Oh, well, if what if you could use a credit card? Then you'd have some money. You have and they start to like plug in this doubt, right?
Yeah.
And that's why salespeople feel so slimy sometimes, is because they're challenging you, but you're not even established in yourself of what you want and don't
There's no
want.
conviction behind your decision.
Right. And they sense it. And because they sense it, they take advantage.
They know that they can push. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I remember one of the sales training I went through, and that was one of the things they said, is just you keep pushing. Like they'll tell you no 7 times is the lucky number, and then they'll give you a yes. Well, no one wants to feel forced into something. You guys, like...
Yeah, it's not a very a very happy way to live and do business.
But. Right. And that's the thing is, like, nowadays, because I know exactly what I want, nope, that doesn't fit my marketing plan. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And...
Well, what if this or what if that? Well,
why aren't you interested? It doesn't matter. I'm not interested.
Yeah.
And I don't have to provide a justification.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's the same thing. It's like, if you're feeling a sense of guilt or that you have to justify, that is not... Like, there's something there, and you guys should be confident in your answers. And you're going to be confident in your answers by having a plan and having a set, this is what we're doing, especially during the holidays, especially during your business. When people ask you for a discount, like in your business, you don't have to justify. You just say, nope, this is what it is. Do you have any other questions?
You're accountable for like your feelings, your responses, and what you want. You're not accountable for other people not getting the experience that they want, because that's their job.
And this is one of the wealth tips that the successful will tell anyone, is you just have to be straight with yourself. Yes, you will have haters. Guess what? Everyone does. Those that are successful have people that hate them. And the reason why those people hate that person is because this person is so confident and so sure of themselves and their plan and their destination that it intimidates this other person, because that's what that hater truly wants, is to feel the same way. They just don't know how to do it.
You can.
And so then they get upset. And so that's really where I wanted to hit home tonight as well.
Yeah.
Tonight, as we're recording this podcast, but like...
Kind of a very different like angle and topic today. But because, like this, we're in the middle of planning family events and things. And we hear a lot of our friends talking about this. And there's like generally like kind of a negative air around it. Like,
yeah.
And so it's like, then we're getting curious, like, well, why is it that way?
Why
is it because people are doing things they don't want to, or they feel guilty because they don't, or whatever? Like, and, I think it's very powerful when you can realize that, like, if someone else gets upset or frustrated, it's not your fault. Like,
nope.
I mean, generally speaking, if you're being a jerk, okay, like, but if you are like living your life, doing the things that you want in a, ecological way, like there should be no reason why if someone feels frustrated or offended, it's because they didn't communicate a need or a desire. Mm-hmm. And maybe you didn't understand, or, I mean, there's so many variables, but you have to like just have conviction over what you want, and it will flow. You'll be happy. Other people will be happy because they won't feel a negative energy from you, or they won't feel like you're doing something that you don't want to do, or,
You want to start seeing more things that you truly want. Like if you feel like you're not getting your big break, and like literally write down all the things you want and start telling people exactly that. Think of your kid, if you have one, or your niece, your nephew, someone. Think of just a child in general. They will poke you while you're taking a nap and say, I am hungry. I need a quesadilla. And it's very, very specific, right? They will bug you for
I've been taking pictures at Costco of all the things Quincy wants for Christmas for like 6 months.
Right. And that's the thing is they know exactly what they want, and they tell you. Yeah. And then if you don't do it fast enough, they tell you again. They make sure you know what they want. Yeah. And you guys, like,
they don't feel like naturally don't feel guilty or like unsure about expressing their needs. Like that's a natural thing.
Right. And that's what it should be. It should always be that natural, like, but.
Respected.
And
like,
respected,
right.
But you guys want to like,
person.
I mean, the scriptures say to be like, be unto like children, right? And even then,
there's another great example.
Be freaking communicating with people what you want. You want $1 million, you go tell a lot of people, I want $1 million. And they will respect you and help you because they know what you want. Versus, oh, how much money do you want? I don't know.
Just want to save a lot of money.
Just want to save a lot of money. I just want to be rich. I just want to be wealthy. Well, what is wealth to you?
So different for everyone.
Right. What is it specifically? Because you tell me you want to be wealthy, I'm going to look at you and go, you're already wealthy. You're healthy. You have a family. Like, according to my model of the world.
You have this, that, whatever.
But you tell me, I want $250 million. Why do you want $250 million? So I can do this, 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 and this. I'm going to take you freaking serious because you already know. Yeah. Right? So I'm going to go, all right, this guy needs my referrals. He needs my business. This guy needs whatever or girl, right? Whoever, they get because I know it's so specific, and I look at him and go, oh, dude, you're out of control, $250 million. That's crazy, right? Like, imagine being that specific and telling people what you want. I guarantee you'll get it because people will help you get there.
Yep. I love it.
It's crazy.
So as we head into like the holiday season specifically, like know what it is that you want and, design it, write things down, be aligned with yourself, with your family. And it's going to be the most enjoyable holiday season you've ever experienced. There's going to be so many opportunities and so many things. And you're going to feel good and happy about all of those decisions because you're doing what it is that you need and what you want. So,
and as you listen to this podcast, you may experience a even deeper love for the people that are surrounding you.
Yeah.
And that deeper love will be felt by everyone in that room. And your holidays will be even more what you want them to become. And wouldn't that be great?
I agree. It would be amazing.
Wow. It can be amazing. And it will happen for you guys. It'll be fun when you listen to this episode again back in July, like when the holidays are not around year? And you're going, man, they keep talking about the holidays, but my gosh, like everything they say applies to everything. But
thanks so much for being here and listening. Yeah.
I feel like we could go on for like 2 hours tonight. We keep looking at each other like, should we? Should we not?
We should probably stop talking.
We'll stop talking here.
No, I think we pretty much, there's so much we can dive into, but I think we covered really what we had on our minds tonight, just as far as like being aligned and going after what you want and being accountable for your self and your responses. And if you're not getting what you want, it's no one else's fault but your own. And be accountable for that. And don't, expect everyone else to make it what you want. If you are designing it what you want, it's going to happen. And other people may just create that environment to be exactly what you want because you designed it. Yeah. So
provide the light to your own path.
Yeah.
Right? Provide light so people can come into your path and come into your life. But have the light available for anyone and everyone and let them make the decision.
And if you want a party and there's not a party, throw the party.
Okay, that was part 2.
I shouldn't have said that.
It's when you're sitting on a group call with a family and no one has anything, you take control and say, no, listen, none of y'all have planned. Here's my plan. This is what we're doing, and this is how it's going to be done. And you just take control of it.
Or if you're like, there's nothing going on. Like, well, whose fault is that?
Right. But you watch. If you step in and say, this is it, this is the plan, here are the things that we are doing for our family.
Do you want it supersized, yes or no?
Yes. If you say that,
it's clear.
Everyone there around the holidays is going to be like, well, gosh, they're so detailed in their plan. We should probably just follow suit.
Sometimes people just gravitate towards like a concise plan. Like
sometimes people are sheep and they just follow the shepherd. And if you are the shepherd and you have the staff and you just have the plan, they'll follow.
Yep.
And you'll get more what you want because you followed your plan.
Yes.
I had to whisper that. Secrets. Anyways, thanks guys for listening. 5-star review. Share us with your friends. And we also love going out to dinner with you guys.
Yeah.
We had a listener, him and his wife, reached out, asked us to go to dinner. And oh my gosh, fun. The environment and the energy exchange was so awesome.
Yeah.
Please, we would love it.
Yeah, we like friends.
That is something we want, is we want to go to dinner with people that listen to this show.
Or whatever. It doesn't have to be dinner. Like what?
Right. We want to go experience cool things.
Anything. Most things.
So reach out. Give us a 5-star review. You guys, we really, really appreciate the support on the show.
Thanks for listening and dealing with our ramblings and tangents. They're kind of funny sometimes. I enjoy them.
I love them.
It'll be fun.
That's why we keep doing what we do.
It'll be fun to be back with you guys in a week. Next Wednesday, we'll be back with some more info. And if there's something that, like one more last plug, if there's something that you feel like is important to address or a follow-up or clarification or anything based on a past episode, something, I don't know, be vulnerable, send us a message because we love that. Like we would love ideas and relevant information. So
take control. Right?
Yeah.
Just like this episode.
What do you want to hear from this podcast?
What do you want to hear? What do you need?
Yes.
Love it. You deserve it.
All right. Until next week, everyone. Have a great week. Right, bye.